Good afternoon, good evening everyone. Welcome to the Market Stalker stream. We've got our Blahtech charts. And we're going to see if we can snipe another trade for this evening. A couple of candidates are natural gas or crude oil. Let me just change something, because I've just noticed I changed the color of my charts and the line chart is still black, so we can't see that. Alright, so first and foremost, if you were with me on Top Step this morning, I was in a short copper trade, held that for the majority of the day, and scaled into 7 micros. I tried 8, didn't let me. It's supposed to be 8, but obviously when you have the limits, then it's not gonna let us. So so far we're just gonna work with that. Alright, let's have a little recap of the day types and stuff. So we do have COMEX coming in. Maybe we can do a little tiny trade on copper, but we now need to save most of the cash. So it's not going to be 7 or anything. It's just going to be maybe 4. Maybe 4. Let me just have a look at what tape looks like. So this is what we've got. This is a full copper tape. So somebody tried selling here. Alright, so maybe let's do just 4 little micros. 4 little micros to try and get that fade. So it's not going to be the biggest trade. This London average session range low is no longer relevant. So let's see if we can add a little bit of cash onto what we already have. Maybe down to Asia low. This, of course, would be a weeb, form of a weeb. Weakness inside initial balance setup. So we rejected the gamma wall of 590. I just need to grab a string. We actually had a power cut. We went out to walk the dogs, and whilst I was out, the power cut happened. So I think these levels are from yesterday on the options chain. So I'm just going to grab that. This is the problem living in the sticks. They get a bit of wind and stuff, and the wind starts moving the trees, and trees go into the power lines. Fun and games. Alright, so yeah. So here we go. So gamma wall, big level at 590. That was the idea from this morning. Held it until the cows came home. Need to get a hat with like the cow or something. So we got the grasshopper hat when we're doing quicker trades and losing the plot. And we also need the hat for the days when we are super composed and keep a trade for 8 hours. Alright, let's see who's in the chat. So we have Raphael. He says up 841 bucks on the XFA and locked out, just here for the vibes. Hey man, that's great. I love hearing that. Great day. Great day. What did you trade? Tell us. Captain Price says theater. Okay. Carpets. Are we just like doing like random words? What is happening? I don't know. We have Eloisa here. Good to see you. Nika waving. Pink hand waving. Rodrigo says, new to futures, coming from Forex. Thank you for having me. Could you explain how the volume profile works? Oh man, did you pick a loaded question? I wish that I could explain to you just in simple terms. But first of all, I prefer TPOs. Volume profile, I do use on very large time frames. So let's make this bigger and let's kick off the volume profile. So volume profile is sort of a replacement for technical supply and demand. And even though I do use it, especially when we have little gaps, I think that it doesn't have enough resolution for what I am trying to achieve. So I just use it on very large time frames. Usually I have about 4 weeks worth of smushed volume profiles. And the concept that is the simplest in the volume profile would be to look for high volume nodes. So these like bellies and boobs, bellies and boobs. And little caves. So you have like this little hole. Look at the hole. See that? Those areas of thinner liquidity, let's call them, they represent areas that prices like to pop into, and then on the first try, they like to reverse. But there will be times when they fill the range as well. Now, when you have thicker volume areas, those tend to be more difficult to go through, and that will be basically the way to start with volume profile. But like I said, to me, TPO profile is what I like to look at because it offers you more. It offers you more resolution. You have the initial balance, which is the first hour of trading. On my chart, that's red, the red box, red little thingies. And the TPO is nothing more than a vertical histogram organizing price action in a slightly different way. Does that make sense? When it's building structure, it means that the auction is medium strength or slow. And it also has the concept of gaps, single prints, as we like to call them. It's a very old concept. It's been around since like 1986, probably even before then. So, and then you look at the extensions. You also have the value area on this chart. That's purple little lines. And I look at the previous day's value area from the regular trading hours to see where we're opening. Are we outside, inside? And if we're outside, by how much? And I call that the open sentiment. So the open today in relation to previous day value. But there's a lot to it, right? So I can't just spend the next sort of 90 minutes to 2 hours explaining profile, because it is a lot. And it's not something you're going to pick up over the weekend and suddenly be the whiz. In fact, in my entire career and coaching and trading, I've only met one person that picked up my entire methodology in 2 weeks flat, and she had like PhDs in finance, and she already worked as a trader. She was working for HSBC and, you know, had already had a whole career in that industry. So when I introduced the concept of distribution curves, single prints, auction, she already knew things. She just didn't know how to put it all together to her benefit. So once that fell into place, it was all very easy for her. But yeah. Right, Raphael says, caught the long on gold during the Asia session this morning, fell asleep during the trade and woke up to my take profit hit. Isn't that, I love doing that, right? Even though I'm a little bit stressed whenever I fall asleep in a position, but it's always a nice feeling to just run a position. You go to sleep and you wake up and you're like, oh, that's nice. Done. It's exactly what we want. Kurt says, good morning from the PST. Folks, good morning. So does that mean you're in California somewhere? All right, so we're getting a little bit of a sell-off here. I'm just looking at book map. Let me pop out chat because I can then track everybody. Little bit of a sell-off. Let me do my my little markers here because I prefer that to anything that has P&L in it. So my entry is 585.95. And then my stop is 588.45. What are we doing here? We're doing weakness inside initial balance on the account of an enforced hedging into COMEX settlement, which is coming in 17 minutes. And it's a high probability trade. One of my favorite trades actually, once it sets up. But it's probably not the most massive trade, right? You're not going to get like a gazillion R from it. You might get 1 R, 1.5 maybe, but 1 R is more than enough. Right, Crude says, yep, in California. North, south. Are you more the Bay Area, or are you sort of LA and surrounding areas? One of my very good friends, she's originally from Bournemouth in England, but she moved to initially Ohio and then California, and she works as a real estate agent there. She sells some amazing houses. Bay Area, near Stanford University. Right, okay, university. Interesting. We had an office not too far from there. Many moons ago, and that was an IT recruitment side of things, not trading. Nika says, thanks to you, I've started to learn market profile. Since I found you, I'm using it, and now I'm finally profitable thanks to you. Oh my god, I love hearing that. Well done. I feel grateful that I found you and learned market profile. I felt the same way. Honestly, when I came across it, I kind of heard about it before I went to an apprenticeship in Chicago, and didn't really know what to make of it. I was like, yeah, whatever, it sounds too complicated. And then when we started working with it, the first thing that they taught us was the value area. And initially I was looking at the wrong value because I was like, oh, developing value, so current day's value. So I would be going, well, it's kind of moving like all the time. I don't know how you can like see anything. And the guy was like, which value area are you talking about? And I went, well, you know, this one. And he goes, no, the previous day's value. So I was like, previous day's value, okay. Previous day's value, let's see. All right, so that's dropping nicely. So I'm just gonna put my take profit right where this big, massive, bulging point of control is. 83.45. So there it is. And then maybe we look at crude oil, but that's gonna have to be like one little micro, because even now all of these candles, they are massive. Average daily ranges are huge. I would probably need to use like a 260 ticks candle. But the idea with crude oil in another sort of 15 minutes, when we do start to see the day range fill, usually statistically for NYMEX, the idea is that it's getting a little bit too late now for failed auctions to complete, even though it kind of traversed through the majority of the initial balance. So there's the initial balance. So we tried to go higher, failed it, and then ultimately pulled back above VWAP. So this would now be a little bit too late to still see the reversals. Plus we have this enormous, ginormous 100 mega call wall. But 90 was the gamma wall. Again, this is from yesterday. This is what power cuts do. They just cause trouble. This is cool trouble. Where is my crude oil. Luckily, I have my my algos that spew out the config strings, so I can just re-grab them, and plonk it in there. So gamma flip was at 92.82, and you can see a whole bunch of stuff happening around 90, and that's exactly where they stopped. So this morning I was looking at that and I was like, that could be something. But because I don't like doing crude oil very early in the day, I decided to sit it out until much later. Rodrigo says, I swing trade, usually mark the top and bottom based on direction. I've been looking into volume and price tools. I'll have to check out the TPOs. Thank you for taking my question. Best of luck. Yeah, well, likewise. I do hope that you find use for the volume and price action tools, because that's the reason why I went to order flow and futures, because in Forex, when you get volume, that's broker dependent, and it's like, ew. Even though some people argue that brokers have, reasonable volume, but I don't know, to me it's all just their clients, so how can that be a good representative to any real order flow? So yeah. For the COMEX settlement trade, what would be the entry? Well, it is this, right? So we already had an attempt above VWAP, failed that, and then you just go on the account of time of day. So I already saw, before I entered, we saw when I joined this thing. So big shakeout in volume. So now we just need that to continue. We have negative delta at the moment. It's not massively negative, but it's negative enough. So we'll see whether they can just kind of throw up into the end of the day. To a tactical chunder. You know when you're on a night out and you're drinking a lot, which is not something I do anymore. And then you get sick, so you go and have a little throw up and then carry on partying. So that's what we're looking for as a setup. Raphael says, Bournemouth to California is a crazy change of scenery. To be fair, she did live in London for quite a long time. Because I met her when I went to the second university. And we actually shared a flat together. So that was cool. Mark Hoffman, what's up, D? Southern Cali, enjoying the sun here. Already got 70 points. And NASDAQ down for the day. Amazing. Amaze balls. Everybody's smashing it. I love hearing that. It's great. Oh, crude oil is going without me. That's alright. What did equities do today? I was on a little DAX short trade. I mean, it wasn't that little. It was a nice sort of failed auction. Again, sorry about the white charts. I know how much you guys hate them. But yeah, I was trading right after. What's going on here? Trading right after the jobless claims, so I managed to catch this this drop, and that was very nice. What setup was that? Well, at the time, since the New York Stock Exchange already opened, we were kind of tagging this value low area, so I figured, well, if we were gonna go into value acceptance, it probably would have done it already. So let me just try and fading it. So it was actually done really quickly. Normally I expect those kind of trades to last for like 3-4 hours. It got there in like, I don't know, 45 minutes. So that was on my own account. Right, we've got 8 minutes until we decide if we're gonna do something with crude oil. Don't like the look of a natty. I was looking at longs, but this is now a neutral day, and we've already come back massively from the low, so that's not the best choice of trade location. I mean, maybe if it tags the low and the high, but then we're gonna run out of time, so I don't know. Yeah, it's probably not gonna be it on natty, so I'm gonna move that over here. Maybe we can find that crude oil continuation longs. So why isn't it a day range fill? And why am I not looking for more shorts? It's because usually if you have something that's resembling a failed auction, but you get to this time of day, failed auctions they're not impossible. It's just that in all of my years of trading, I don't know whether I've seen them like happen 15 times. So that's a rarity. So whenever we see a failed, or whenever I see a failed auction for day range fill time, I would be inclined to stay away from that. Right, so we're getting a little bit of a bouncy bounce into the final few sort of minutes, 7 minutes of COMEX before it settles. It usually does this, kind of starts jumping and yo-yoing around, and then kind of scares people. But we have VWAP here, we have some supply that we rejected earlier, and this whole move is coming from one big gamble wall. So I'm willing to stick with it and to withstand the pain of the bounciness into the settlement. Let me just plot Asia low here, because that's kind of the reference point. It might get there, but I don't know how long that's going to take. Usually copper tends to slow down quite a bit after settlement. So it could still be possible that we get all the way down to Asia low, but you have to be willing to be sat on the trade for a few hours. I don't mind sitting on trades, you know, I'm just like very calm. I go do other things and then I track stuff. I don't like sit there and just go watching it tick for tick, because that would drive me insane. I just put it on a 30-minute time frame, and then on another chart I will have a 4-hour time frame, and I'll just kind of track these markers that I still use to this day, because they don't have P&L. Nothing is moving with them. It's just a chart marker, and to me that keeps me so sane that I don't think I will ever stop using my little hacked fib tools. Oh, and on natural gas, if you were looking for a similar thing, we did have some pretty big levels at 320 and 330. And I don't like the fact that they're like so near the current price action. What could happen is that natural gas could just stay under 320 and just carry on lower, because it's natural gas. It's like very rare that you see a neutral day that just kind of continues. If we know that the neutral days are low frequency of occurrence, so overall maybe on equities they comprise maybe 10%, and then on something like a commodity that's going to be more like 8% occurrence, and that's just not really enough for me to go, yes, I'm gonna put my money there. Alright, so crude oil, still sitting right at the right at this point of control on the volume profile. What's this line? This is like some random moving average, which I'm gonna get rid of. So this is probably because we lost power, and then when I brought back the charts, they brought them back to an old version. And actually, did I grab the crude oil? I did, but I didn't grab natural gas. Hold on. I know that the levels didn't change much on Natty. Yeah, so natural gas does look like it wants to go into a reversal for this time of day, but neutral day type, VWAP very close together. I don't know, it's just like, it's an ick factor setup. Okay. Is the music alright? Is it not too loud, too quiet? Yes, I'm vaping. To sue me. So I'm thinking of getting a, I'm not joking, I'm thinking of getting, you know how we have the grasshopper hat and everything? I want to get like a cow hat. Because, you know, the trades that I hold for many hours, I always joke that it's like, oh, I held that trade until the cows came home. So I want to be the cow that comes home. Keep it in the animal kingdom. Right, so 3-1, and we have COMEX settlement. We should see a little bit more of a continuation after the COMEX settles, but we do have that reversal now, so 30 seconds to go, 30 seconds to go. And we have a reversal at VWAP. So now they might chop around for a while, and then usually they kind of bleed towards wherever they were headed in the first place. In a very, very slow manner. Super slow. Okay. And then while I'm doing that, I'm gonna have a look at bookmap on crude oil to see whether we can catch something there as well. Very negative delta, but the price action not really doing all that much. Right, so let's wait until they shake things up a bit. But this is the day range fill now for NYMEX as well. So what I'm going to wait for is a bit of a shakeout to the downside. It would be good if they retested 94, to be honest. That would be a good little level. It's gonna have to be a super wide stop. Super wide. Super wide. Super wide. Why? Because the ranges are absolutely enormous. Like we are, even today, we're looking at 731 ticks of range. And just for reference, when we had COVID, some of the biggest days were like 700 ticks. And now, we seem to be getting that nearly every day. So, okay, so a little bit of a smirk in the cumulative volume delta. Let's see if that holds. The whole dome is generally thinner. It's not terrible, but it's much thinner than normal crude. Usually crude oil has like between 14 and like 20 prices, units per price. Okay, somebody is trying to get involved here, so maybe they won't go all the way. To 94. The suspense is killing me. A bit of jumpiness on the dome. Let me just go here. If you're wondering what am I looking for up here, I'm not looking at a deity. It's one of the screens. Fire Christ says, looking beautiful today. Oh, thank you. I tried to run a straightener through my hair finally, which is a pain point for me. Alright, let's go. Let's go! Okay, I'm in on 1 micro crude oil long on 220 ticks. Ouchie. But hey, it is what it is. And I'm gonna place my target, let's be a little bit more aggressive, but if it doesn't start running higher, then I'll take it off wherever. So we'll see how that plays out. Just gonna put the marker with my entries. 95.12 and then 92 below the round number. So that's my trade. Let me just do the price fix here so we can smush the chart a little lower. There we go, it's a bit better. Actually, let me do something here because I can't see the rest of the profile here, and I want to. So I just use the letter T to compress the profile a bit. Right, so some drama on the copper trade, but that's fine. Yeah, it's post-settlement. This is could be a second chance entry, you know, the Mark Stoker's method and all that. Retest of the previous conterminous line because the slow auction. and then a continuation down. Interestingly though, micros are different. Micros are a bit different. Funny. I actually noticed that the natural gas micros and the big contract are completely different. That's interesting. And I'm gonna pop out chat again because I've got too many things to look at. Alright, so this is the tape on crude oil now. It's always connected to a random eval where I can get the data cheap. Yeah, let's see if they can push it. Oh, look, don't move it, move it. Kurtu? Am I reading your name correctly? Oi, 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 hello. Who can look at the charts? Who are you? What's your name? Marcus Talker D, mate. Alright, so, yeah, nothing to do. Just wait for crude oil to make up his mind. Also waiting on the little copper trade. So we'll see how they want to play it. King of YOLO has a question. Are there a lot of successful traders that have a very low win rate, like 25%, but have a great risk to reward? Not intraday. Not intraday. So if you are looking for like maybe stock traders like turtles, they traditionally had like 20 to 30% success, and they all went on to own hedge funds and stuff, but you can't trade like that intraday. You know, most of us here are futures intraday traders, and you can't trade. First of all, the time intraday will not allow you to have massive risk reward that comes along every single day. It's just not, but logistically it's not possible. So not only do you have a time constraint, but you also have this issue of most days being rather range bound. However, if you're a swing trader who holds like trades for like a moderate position style trade, like let's say you're planning to be in for like 3 to 5 months in something, then the time spent in a trade will push it to wherever if you're right on direction. But unfortunately, no, I do not know any intraday traders that have a super low win rate, because that's not the name of the game. Most of the traders that I know, they are sort of middle ground. So middle risk reward, middle hit rates, nothing like stellar, but they're all very good at giving up the trades that are not working out. So for me, that means that I either commit to the stop loss on a core position, or I just exit if the price is not going anywhere for like 2 hours and I realize that my initial idea is not what I initially thought the setup would be. So yeah. So yeah, King of YOLO is unfortunately do not know any successful traders with super low win rate. I know a few with like 35 to 40% win rate, but I don't know, to me I have to have 45 to 50%. Anything else and I feel like you're sitting down every day and the market is just kind of giving you bitch slaps every single day. It's really difficult. Kurtu, I do everything. I've been trading for 20 years, so I do options trades as a swing trade, but most of the time I am an intraday trader on commodities. So I will do a mix of mechanical trading algorithms that we have as a part of our business on one side, which we lease about 2 or 3 of them to institutions. And there I'm just switching buttons on and off. I'm not actually making decisions myself. I make a decision on what the setup should be, and then I'm like, yep, that's working. No, that's not working. But when you lease something to an institution, they are the ones who have to decide whether to run that algorithm or not. You are not really involved. It's just that, like for example, day range fill. So we have a set of conditions for that. And then it has to find average session range high or low. So for example, this trade that I have on crude oil, yeah, it's a day range fill trade for my human self, but the algorithm wouldn't even consider this as a trade, for example. So it's a very tight sort of condition set of conditions that have to be present, and then they decide whether they want to run it or not. So yeah. Right, a little bit of jumping on crude oil, yo-yo price action. It's been so volatile. Like, it's crazy that, look, I mean, I've been through some volatile times for sure, but the fact that crude oil is now moving like so much, it's good, but it also means that you can't run big positions. Like if I was running this on one crude oil mini, I would need to spend 2.2k on a single trade. And intraday, that's a lot, especially on prop accounts. No. Alright, says, call me Alex, can I ask you a personal question? It depends on the question, mate. You can always ask me. Whether I'm going to answer, that's another matter. But yeah, by all means, give it a go. While I have another toke of a vape. And yes, I know I don't vape on Top Step because we have a bit of a different vibe there, right? We're trying to be almost like a semi-news service. And sure, we can have humor and all that, but obviously there's some code of conduct that goes into that. Which props am I using now? Well, considering that I'm one of Top Step partners and the on-air personality, obviously I'm using Top Step. I have been trying out a few different firms. I don't have any that I really like, but the old ones like Trade Day, they're excellent for like daily payouts as soon as you get over the minimum balance. So, and no consistency in the funded. So I typically go for props where they don't torture you with consistency rules. I just find it really difficult because obviously I do semi-swings intraday, and I keep trades like this copper trade short that I was running from Top Step TV morning, my metal markets show this morning. I held it for hours and hours. Like I entered it before I started the show because we popped into here, and then we started opening the London session and I started seeing shorts on tape. So I entered it, and then throughout the entire metal market show, I stayed short into the jobless claims, unemployment claims, and only took it off like when I came back from the dog walk, really. So that was what, let's see, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4, 5, 6 hours that trade was. So, you know, I'm not like your most exciting trader where it's like, yeah, let's do this trade. Like I do scalp sometimes if there's nothing else around, but if I can help it, I try to find a bigger position and just stick with it. And why did I enter this? Gamma wall was one thing at the 590 level, but then on a 4 hour time frame, was it 4 hour or was it 3 hour? One of those. Yeah, so we had this sort of development and we were testing that area, and then it just hung there. So I'm like, yeah, this is probably gonna drop. And we had a beautiful reversal after the Tokyo close. So that usually, when you have such clean price action on the way up, usually when you come to the next sessions, at some point they're gonna run straight down through it. It's a misconception to think that somehow now you're going to get yet another continuation. It can happen, don't get me wrong, you can have outlier days that just keep going, but I am very aware of this like Tom and Jerry chase that I like to call inter-session behavior. So one session does one thing, the other session starts and they go, no, this has gone too far up, we cannot make money here, and then they hedge it from an area of high open interest, which was 590 in this case. So what, am I supposed to like just chop myself up and then take a tiny bit? I would rather pay the broker like one round trip and then take as much as I can, just because I'm like that. Don't give the brokers your money. And I always feel like with scalping, you get so much commission that eventually, if you don't have enough of a risk reward to account for that, or a high enough hit rate, which I never was. I'm not a high hit rate trader. I'm like ballpark middle of the middle. Everything that I do, it's like 50%, 1.5. It's all right. But it works. Like, it's a stable system over many years. So yeah. King of Yellow says 20 years. Wow, wish I could borrow that experience for just 1 year. I mean, keep doing this. You will eventually get to a point where you can do it. Apart from Top Step, Voices 420 says, do you know of any other prop firms that trade micro copper? I like trading it but get wrecked on minis. Yeah, this is a problem. It's a tough one, man. Because copper is expensive. It's $12.50. And with these ranges, they're not the most massive ranges, but it still moves like 200-300 ticks a day, right? And at $12.50, you really need to give it some room. I like to use 55 ticks on it for a stop loss. And I don't know, man. Like I don't know whether maybe Apex on Rhythmic might have it. I never used, but I don't think they do micros. You see. Let me see. I don't think they do micros. Like, does anybody do micros? I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a very good point, actually. Does anybody else, apart from Top Step, have micros on copper? No, yeah, you're right, they don't. Because I know trade day you can't trade micros. No, it's Top Step only. Bizarre. I mean, to be fair, Top Step has a very good offering of products. You can love us or hate us, but I don't think that anybody else has the bigger choice of products. You can do micro copper, you can do obviously micro silver, but that's not a true micro. You can do RBOB, you can do heating oil. I don't think you can do heating oil on many prop firms. And I love heating oil. It's great. Not now, because it's moving a million ticks per day. But once it settles, it's a beautiful product, right? Is there any other prop firm I would suggest? I mean, Trade Day. They're really good guys. Again, no micros, though, on copper. I don't know whether I could maybe reach out to them, because I do know them. Maybe I could chat to James to see whether they can introduce micros. Trade Day does have Eurex though, so you can trade micros on Eurex. I know that much. So you will need TraderVate, and you will need an extra Eurex data feed, which you sign up for apart from the eval. You actually have to have it on your TraderVate account, and then you can have everything. You can have FDXS, and you can have the FDXM as well, so it's very, very malleable. And for that matter, I think Tradeify also has it, but I don't know why they don't have the rest of the micros. It's like, come on, give us a break, man. So yeah, it is a problem in the industry. You know, they're like, oh yeah, we're working for traders, but then they're like, well, but you can't trade micros. It's like, well, if you're working for traders, wouldn't you allow us to trade micros on everything on a $2,000 account? I don't know. Prop firms these days, man, it's a bit of a weird, funny business. And I think TopStep gets a lot of stick. Yes, we had problems with the platform, so complete disaster there. But they managed to turn it around, right? And but then they also got rid of all the affiliates. So the only people who are there are those of us who are partners, and we are actually with them. And there's not many of us. It's like literally all the people you see on TopStep TV, that's the only partners that you have. So naturally, there's nobody to defend TopStep because everybody's pissed off that they cut the affiliate program. And it's easy to hate on them. A, they're the oldest firm on the block. And B, they don't have any affiliates. So there's no incentive to defend them, right? So it's a double-edged sword. I always try to be super impartial, and I don't like burning bridges. I'm not into the prop firm drama. I mean, I see channels on YouTube now that are all about prop drama. I've moved away from that. I don't know whether you noticed, but most of my videos recently, they've been, oh hey, you know, this is a good indicator, mental cue, blah blah blah. This, yeah. Eloisa said TopStep is super cool. I went and bought an account with Take Profit, and they do not have micros neither for copper or natural gas. Yeah, I mean, what's up with that? Alright, we're getting a nice little dip on our copper trade here. And again, the TopStep got a lot of stick when they limited the amount of contracts that you can trade. So what? Should they just allow you to like full port and blow accounts left, right, and center? That's not what they want. They want, you know, traders who are patient. They want traders who, yes, buy enough accounts, but at the same time, you know, they have seen sim farmers. They just go YOLO on one account, so some of them blow, others don't. That's coming to an end, you know, the gravy train is finally over. But I don't want my channel to be, oh, this person said that. So I'm actually shifting the whole channel to review different platforms, to review different services, offer some of my own because I'm a business owner, and I think we've got some really good stuff going with Blahtech. So I'm a partner of Bookmap, I'm a partner of Mental Q. I even go to Mental Q webinars. We do webinars, so you might have seen one the other day. Fabio actually sent me an email, and I didn't see it until very late in the day, and I'm like, yeah, sure. I texted him at 2 in the morning. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then he texted me at my I don't know. I got up in the morning and I saw it was pretty late for him as well, so we went on. And we talked about crude oil because it was all kicking off, and it's like, yeah, let's give them an update. That's a great idea. Alex says, do you have many pairs on lots of screens to watch them all and just one by one? I have 5 screens. 5 screens plus an Elgato teleprompter, which I usually use for any scripts, whenever I need to do scripts. Right, looks like we're going to get another little bit of extra thing here. I didn't add because it's only a 1 hour trade. There's no room to add, so that doesn't make sense. But the swing that I ran, I tried to add up to 8, only let me add up to 7, so they obviously still have that restriction. That's sort of putting a wrench in the works on my experiment of being better and being more comfortable adding into positions. I know Fabio and Andrea. So I know Fabio and Patrick. I know Fabio very well, and I have done a couple of appearances with Patrick. And Patrick is hilarious. He's so funny. Me and Anne-Marie were on with him, and Anne Marie asked him, so Patrick, how did you get into trading? And he goes, oh, it was because of a woman, because he's a German guy. So of course it was. And then he went to explain that I think he was like working as, was he an IT guy or something? And there was like a lady that he liked, and then he tried to learn more about trading, and then, yeah, he's a funny guy. Fabio is amazing. He's very knowledgeable. He's worked for Bloomberg for like 15 years before he even founded MentorQ, so they're good guys, you know. But yeah, so there was a webinar last week, so me and Fabio talking about crude oil on their channel. You can go check it out. Was it a Wednesday? I think it was a Wednesday last week. Right, so crude oil doing crude oil things is just hanging here. They sometimes do this annoying thing where they will not do anything until the very last 2 minutes, but it's only a one lot on a micro, on a humongously massive stop loss. So I have some room there. But yeah, it's so volatile, guys. Like it's ridiculous. This candle is like 80 ticks already. It's just like, it just goes, and it does 80 ticks. And all like last 2.5 years. I've been trading crude oil since 2013, so I've seen it all, right? And last 2.5 years, the entire day, day after day after day, 100 ticks of range. And now we're doing 80 ticks of range in the space of like a few seconds. So that's absolutely insane. Alex says, didn't know you had the chance to meet the elite of new generation on trading. I know everybody in the industry, everybody. I've had my YouTube channel since 2015. I wasn't particularly active until sort of COVID, and then I got pretty active, grew it to, you know, whatever it was, and then I got the vaccine injury, so I've been dealing with that the last 4.5 years. But it's one of the reasons why I took on the Top Step role as well. I love Top Step, they're my family, you know, I've been with them for 10 years. I was their first female funded trader, if you didn't know. And I was also the first live account on Top Step X. I bet you didn't know that. Back in the day when it was the old crew, me, MP, Andre, and Hogue. The OGs of Top Step TV. When MP was still trying to sling like 50 lines. Oh God, I still have nightmares about that. And then Rips was there too, and you know, the checklist. So dear Lord, that's a nightmare as well. Do you check? And Rips, what about you? Do you check? It's like by the time we did the bloody checks, the setup, and he was looking at an NQ, the setup has been and gone. And it's like, you can't even see it, right? I'm like, what are we doing? And I suggested this, like, can we do, like, maybe something slower? Because the checklist, no! We're doing NQ. Okay. We're doing NQ. Hate the bloody thing, but alright. So yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah, Rips is amazing. I still have a few chats with him on Instagram and stuff every so often. But yeah, we shared the screen together many times. Sorry, my eye decided to start watering for some reason. Rips is a lovely dude. He is very skilled at what he does. He's a typical scalper, very good at scalping. I can't trade like that. I trade slow. I actually find that when I try to scalp in the way that he does, I always feel like I've left a lot on the table. But you know, he is just like hit and run, the end. And I'm like, damn, I saw it, right? I saw the 300 tick move. I want the 300 tick move. And you know, you have to find your own way of trading that suits your personality. How did we meet? We met on Top Step TV. Yeah, so we were on Top Step TV together back in the day. God, I can't believe that was like 2 years ago now. It's crazy. But yeah, he actually invited me to go on his stream, and he said, "Hey Dee, you know, we should do a stream." And you know, I want to, but because of my energy limiting stupid chronic illness, I have to be super careful. Like even my you know, I have the metal markets on Top Step TV Monday through Thursdays, and then I also have appearances throughout the week. So tomorrow I'm going to be on group coaching. So at the moment I'm usually doing group coaching Mondays and Wednesdays, sometimes Fridays. Then every so often they will put me on fast markets as well. So but yeah, so and then I've been trying to do my own streams once a week, which I haven't done. I used to run daily live streams for many years. I think it was like 2-3 years. And then I got sick, and then I was not very well. Like I was literally near bedbound for a good 2 years. And then I kind of found things that started working for me, and I'm like, okay, well, I can sort of try and do something. And then I tried doing one live stream and I immediately crashed. Didn't come out of a crash for 5 weeks. So I thought to myself, I'm not ready yet. That's terrible. And then about, I think, just around the time when I found something that started getting me a little bit better, Hogue reached out to me and he said, hey, because I used to be on Squawk Radio. I don't know how many people know this, but Squawk Radio was like a kind of like Top Step TV, but it was just radio, and Eddie was running that. And they also had segments. Hoop was running his fundamentals back in the day, and that's how I met Hoop as well. And Hoop is a big buddy of mine, Coach Hoop. So we both used to trade Crude oil, and it was great. And then Hogue was our risk manager. So me and Hogue used to have these like big chats, and you know, obviously I'm still big friends with him, and to the point that, you know, if something's up in my life, I will confide in him, and he does the same with me. Like big friendship, right? That's persisted over many years, and yet we've never met in real life, which is like completely mad to me. Because obviously they're in Illinois and I'm over in the UK, so it's a bit difficult. And but yeah, it's been a, you know, beautiful sort of relationship that Top Step, we did content together. I was a panelist for many things. And then when Squawk Radio ended, we were all very sad. We were like, oh my God, what are we going to do now? So we kind of went our separate ways, obviously, and I went to work for brick and mortar prop firms. Tried working for an asset management firm. That did not work at all. And I went back to sort of prop. Then I did my own thing, developed a couple of businesses on the side. And then COVID hit, and nobody knew what was going on. So I was like, oh my God, now what? My IT recruitment side of business went to shit completely. And you know, I was like, I need something else to do. So I decided to jump on YouTube. That's how all of this started. And like I said, when I was not very well, I was kind of just thinking to wind everything down and just to sit in a dark room feeling sorry for myself. But I sort of started getting a little bit better. And Hogue reaches out and he goes, hey, do you remember Squawk Radio? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, we're going to be doing that, but on YouTube. And I'm like, what? Like video. And he's like, yeah, all of us. And he's like, yeah, you know, everybody, like Squawk Radio, but on TV. I'm like, wow, okay. Well, yeah, let's try it. Why not? And it became this big thing. So we're now over on Top Step, over 200,000 subscribers. It's absolutely insane. So yeah. Have I met MP? Obviously, we worked together on Top Step TV. The OGs, right? When Top Step TV first started, go back to like, I don't know, the first month or so, because I joined them, I think, in week 3. And I was on twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it was Andre, Hogue, MP, me. And then a little bit later, Rips joined us, and then Dakota. But initially it was, I think, just us four, and Jack was kind of jumping in and out. But it was just us and Eddie. Obviously, Eddie was always there. So there was about like six of us on air, and it was, you know, it was a big learning experience. We were all over the place. MP's like trying to sling like 30 to 50 lots and losing money left, right, and center. Trying to figure out the format. You know, we bumbled around a lot of trial and error, and then eventually we found our rhythm. And of course the epic sort of Andre and MP were arguing initially, and me and Hogue were on the stream when Andre threw his toys out of a pram. It was so funny. And then Jack decided to run a poll and said, "Are you Team MP or Team Andre?" And Hogue goes, "This is anonymous, right?" So there are good times, you know. It was definitely good TV. It was amazing and stressful, but amazing. And then since then, you know, now we have a real production team. It's like this big thing, and you know, we have like 3 producers on the back end. So it's turned into like a proper show, right? So I feel like I'm a musician again, because I've worked on live shows before and I know how intense they can be. And now that's what they're doing. It's just an online format. It's the same thing. And it is beautiful to see it all grow as much as it did. So let's see. Is it okay if I ask how do I enter or see a trade? Well, there's this thing, right? Now, when I teach people, I don't tell them, hey, go to Bookmap and then just learn the patterns, because that takes years. What I do say to people, have some sort of price action pattern that will push you into a trade. But after 20 years, this is kind of how I look at it. I have an area of interest. Once the price gets there, like for example 94 now on crude oil. And I did say earlier, I don't know when you joined, but I said, you know, if we can retest 94, that would actually be a good one for entry. But I knew I was going to be talking, and I just decided to kind of enter because we started getting some positive delta, or delta moving off the dead point. And now they're doing a lot of sweeps here, right? They're doing a lot of sweeps. And right now, delta is still holding. Every time they try to put it down, somebody jumps back in and brings it almost basically to the top. So this is real-time orders going through. And over the last sort of, I don't know, 3-4 years, I find that I just don't need to go to low time frames, because this is my low time frame. And I can just kind of see what's going on. And enter and then commit to the trade. That's the end, right? I am not somebody who jumps in and out of trades. I have pretty wide stops that are scaled to the volatility of the product, but they're not like, oh, now I'm gonna trail it. Oh, this is it's gonna, like, I'm not a nervous trader, right? I'm just like, I'm in a trade. It's gonna last a few hours. Let's chat. And I know that for YouTube, that's probably not the most exciting. I'm not emotional in my trades. I stick to the hypotheses that I have. I lose trades and I don't freak out because I know it's a controlled risk. And it's just like, you know. So yeah, all I need is 30-minute time frame to give me slightly larger time frame context, and I always have that, and I actually also have a 4-hour chart on another screen. Ooh, these yellow candles are really annoying me. Hold on. Usually I have a 4-hour time frame too, just to get an idea of where we are. And as you can see, we're pretty low in the distribution curve, and they're trying to keep going up. Why? Because we came away from like 120. We still have a lot of headline risk. So, you know, technically that should be bullish for crude oil, technically. But honestly, crude oil is so volatile. And before, 2 years ago, it always used to be volatile. And then it died a death. And then suddenly you had a whole bunch of people who never traded crude oil before 2 years ago, and they're like, yeah, crude oil is slow. And I'm like, if somebody told me there would be a time when somebody calls crude oil a slow product, I would have just laughed at them. What am I doing here? I'm trying to get the chart to move slightly lower so that I can expand the candles. Okay. So yeah, copper is doing its slow cruise down for its after settlement. US Sniper, seriously, why would you need all of that over your chart? That just looks confusing. Mate, you do you and I'll do me, right? I don't think it's too much. These are options levels. So you can have dark pools on the other side of the screen. I like to have them as lines in the chart. So sue me. And I have the TPO profile. That's it. Like I don't know what's so confusing. Some days the charts just look like this. So you have one level and then another one up there, because that's the high open interest. So if you're here to come and criticize my charts, I will ask you to leave and you go do you, okay? Guillaume says, if I trade commodities in 5 minutes or on 5 minutes. I mean, if you use it for entries, again, everybody has their own way of doing things, guys. Like I have, bookmap and order flow, so I don't need to stare at a 5-minute chart. I find a 30-minute chart all I need, right? And I like to see what my trade looks like on a 30-minute time frame rather than 5. Because let's drop down to a 5-minute time frame. This all looks a bit messy to me. It's like, but 30 minutes cleans stuff up, and you're like, oh, okay. Single-sided auction, 90 gamma wall was reactive, a lot of stuff there, so difficult to break. Double-sided puts and calls, but a big gamma wall, so bounced away from that. And again, we have gamma flip at 92.82, so we're now in positive gamma environment. 94 is a weak call wall, but can be supportive in light of headline risk. So that's what I need, but and crude oil looks messy because there's a lot of levels today. But it's not messy to me. If it's messy to you, that's your problem, not mine. Alright, so Guillaume trading on a 5-minute time frame. I mean, is it working for you? That's the only question. Do you find that you gel with a 5-minute time frame? If the answer to that is yes, just keep doing it. Like I'm not here to get anybody to copy me. I can share the knowledge of what I know, but if you're comfortable with a 5-minute time frame and you don't look at bookmap, well, what else are you going to look at? You have to have some sort of an entry somewhere. And if the 5-minute time frame provides that for you, all the better. Walks with AJ. Hey D. Hey AJ. How are you doing? Turkia. Am I reading that right? Hey D. Hello. Hello. Voices 420. I work in a hospital, and every time I see the SATS machine, I'm looking where I'd buy the tape. That's funny. Yeah. Alright, so crude oil looks like it's going to be one of those days where it will make a move in the last 2 minutes. Let's just hope that Trump... Is Trump going to talk today? Because I don't want to be blindsided by that. So, again, I had other things to do today, so I didn't really get a chance to kind of sit on in front of the charts all day. I'm just going to let the Cavalier out his scratching again. He loves being next to me, one of my dogs. I have 8 dogs. And the Cavalier is deaf and has mitral valve disease. So every so often he wants to get outside. And I'm like, okay. And he can't hear me, so I have to go let him out. I'll be back in like 2 seconds. And then at some point, he's also going to want to come back. King of Yellows, I got a beating this week following my strategy. I think tomorrow the market, it just doesn't take, it gives back more. I think that's probably a matter of situational awareness. If you're trading equities in particular, I don't know what you're trading, but we are in a precarious situation of risk off, and that means that equities are going to go down more than not. Eloisa, thank you. I see Trump speaks at 3 p.m. That's Central, right? Okay, that's after hours. I'm not going to be in these positions for that long. Yeah, so that's fine. He can yap all he wants in that time of day, because I'm going to be in bed, because that's like 9 p.m. I'm already like snuggled in with all my dogs. And where's my name? And I'm British. I'm actually not British. I'm a naturalized Brit. I'm better known as Marcus Stalker D, but I don't hide my real name as Deanna Angelo. Everybody knows that. I was actually born and raised in former Yugoslavia, so those were my teen years, 1990s wars in Yugoslavia, so I don't know how that works. But yes, I've lived in London since early 2000s. Moved here as an adult. Yeah, that's my stage name, Nanko. And yeah, and then I moved to the countryside, English countryside, last May, because we bought the new place. Yeah, I'm not young, by the way. Alex, you're probably new here, but everybody in my community knows I'm in my mid-40s, so I've always looked like a kid. Now I just about look like I'm in my early 30s. And thank God I don't have to like get an ID to buy some alcohol anymore. But yeah, when I was younger, I looked like I was like 12. That was very, yeah. Damn near a pensioner. Yeah, that's right. Where is my what do you call them? The old people's sort of like transport card. You get a discount. Heading in that direction. So yeah, and looking forward to it. So there you go. I'm actually growing out my salt and pepper hair because I got sick and tired of dyeing it. And yeah, it's in this awkward phase where I've got some grays here, so you can see it, quite like a skunk trail. But yeah, I think it's gonna look cool because I have a pretty interesting. I want to look like. Do you remember the movie Labyrinth? I'm probably like showing my age here. It was like in the 80s, and no, it wasn't Labyrinth. Sorry, Willow. Willow was the one with what's his name? Where the Val Kilmer was in it as well. And there's an old witch there. She was like an animal, and then at one point she transforms back into a human, and she has this like beautiful gray long hair, and I want to look like that. I want to be the old woman wizard. But yeah, Labyrinth was a cool movie, but it wasn't it. It was Willow. I'm just having a senior moment. Yeah, I know that it was like an 80s thing. So yeah. What's going on with my eye, man? It's like decided to run the makeup. So yeah, see how long it takes for copper to do its thing in this summer day. Like, it's still a great setup. It's still heading in the right direction, but it requires patience, and it's the highest probability trade you can have. fade into COMEX settlement. This is why I love end of days. So I want to be a witch. Yeah. I want to be the wizard. The market wizard. Right, crude oil livening up from 94, just like we said it would. And no, that's not me being psychic, it's just the nature of the positive gamma and the mean reverting environment. Alright, let's see if we can get some targets here. Yeah, the crude oil target at close to 100 is a lot, so I'm not going to keep it up all the way. But yeah, no adding, it's too big to add, so we're just micros, being super vigilant with risk, trying to keep it tight. You know, if you don't want to trade small, especially not on online prop firms, you're going to keep blowing up, and you're going to keep being in that horrible cycle of blow up, buy a new account, blow up, buy a new account, blow up. Let's just stop doing that, because it's getting old, just like the rest. There we go, pushing, push crude oil, push, come on, go. That's me trying to feign emotion. But yeah, we're coming to the last sort of 6 minutes of NYMEX, and this is when crude oil decides to get a kick up its bum and then starts pushing. How much? That's an unknown. Nobody knows that. Alex says, if you're 27 and I'm trading for 20 years, that means I was trading since I was a kid. Yes, that's exactly the case. Yeah. You're funny, because Patak actually forgot that I was on Squawk Radio back in the day with them, and we're actually basically the same age, so he's, I think he's like a year older than me. So when we started doing Top Step TV together, I was like saying something about, oh yeah, I just have dogs, I don't have human children, and he goes, yeah, but D, you have a lot of time, and I'm like, yeah, menopausal, that's, it's a lot of time to start thinking about children. And he goes, what do you mean? And Hogue then jumped in, and he goes, MP, she's like, at that time I was 43, so he was like, MP, she's 43, and he goes, yeah, we're basically the same age. And I'm like, yeah, what of it? And he's like, I thought you were like 27. Like, of course I am, permanently 27. Yes, that's the only way to be. Alright, do you know what? I'm gonna book my copper trade, because again, we only have a finite amount of time to be here together. 185, adding on to that swing trade from earlier, so 884, and let's see what this crude oil does, and then we'll be done for the day. All done on micros, literally like a grand out of micros. That's insane. So this is now gone, so we're done with that. We remove the marker, and then we expand this and focus just on the final active trade. What I'm doing here, I'm just placing the chart in the middle. So for those of you who are still, like me, a dinosaur, and using AMP Futures MetaTrader 5, even though it's real futures, but hey, I come from Forex. When I first started trading, it was Forex, leave me alone. And if you want to place the chart in the middle, you need to go to Properties, and then there's this thing called the Scale Fix, So if you put that to like some crazy price, like 120, it moves it and then gives you an opportunity to start moving it just like you can on TradingView. So that's like one trick that I like. Yeah, by the way, Alex, I've been married for a very long time. I've been with my husband for almost 21 years. It's going to be 21 years in June. Why is gold dumping? It's because it's post-COMEX reversal. Faminu. It's a similar setup. Let's have a look at gold, but it's going to be a white chart, so I'm sorry. Yes, I'm a psychopath. Hello. Good morning. So, first of all, it's headline risk. Second of all, we have 5100, which I mentioned on my Metal Market show on TopStep TV this morning. And I said 5200 was the gamma wall, never even got there. Got close, but not quite. And I said the next level that I can see as a potential anchor from the options chain is 5100. And if you don't know, the dealers are the ones who create intraday ebb and flow. So if you don't quite get why things happen as they do, it's the dealers. We are in a negative gamma environment as well. That always brings a little bit more oomph into the price action, and it becomes quite slippy and a lot more directional. In the case of gold, we have a single direction down day after we open inside value as a change of sentiment, and then they just smacked through VWAP, retested it and never looked back. We did have a little bit of a squiggle into the London close, but then since then, COMEX settlement carried on. Again, negative gamma, it's more likely that it's going to carry on. And I wouldn't expect this to stop until we actually reach 5100. Maybe even further, we'll see. But 5100 is big enough to at least give a little bit of a slowdown. However, in negative gamma, a lot of these levels act as accelerators. Why? Because you can assume, let's say that the dealers are maybe long calls around here, so they don't actually want the price to go below that level. And if it does start to go below that level, they have to start selling more, which amplifies the directional movement. So that is the nature of the dealer impact in today. Alex, you're talking like it's like my obituary. Oh, you've done great in life. I've done okay. I've done okay, both as a musician and as a trader. I'm kind of, heading towards trying to relax a bit more into my, as I approach the final 5 years of my 40s. And I'm not, like my brain has slowed down a lot. I'll say that. Brian, it's my indicator and it's not for sale. It's just something that I coded. These are my levels with like anchor points that have a couple of calculations. Like first of all, I'm tracking the implied volatility day by day. So that's one algorithm. And then I have another one that calculates both the open interest size, but then also the implied volatility per strike by looking at the Greeks. So that's where I get my big anchor points. And then the final one is looking at where the gamma walls are and where the gamma flip is located. So whether we're in positive or negative gamma. So literally there's like 4 different algos that are being pulled into the same app. And then that's how I get these levels. I don't think it's ready for any kind of release or anything like that. Now, I owned 50% of Blahtech as my software development company. But this is me. So I have a team that prepares the releases, and they're all like nice and, very good with GUIs and stuff. I'm terrible with graphic interfaces. So I just kind of bodged something together because I wanted it on the chart. unfortunately, a part of my team is now heading into a contracting role for a small hedge fund. So they won't be available. They're just kind of finishing up some of the projects that we had, porting our flagship indicators of market profile, daily range, and the supply and demand into Ninja. So that's kind of coming to fruition, ready for sort of beta testing, as we like to call it here. But yeah, so the options levels might have to wait. But yeah. So it's just an indicator. But if you want to get options levels, options chain, I can suggest Mentor Q. Like, you can find a little code, because they are my partners, and I do go on their webinars, as I mentioned earlier. And then they do indicators for nearly everything. So I do have them on TradingView. So that's on my other screen, and that's the end of day levels primarily, just the end of day levels. So they are a pretty good starting point because they will give you very similar levels, but they put every GEX level, every single GEX level. It's like GEX 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then they give you the 0 DTEs, which I don't think are strong enough on commodities, so I don't really pay too much attention to them. They're pretty strong on equities, though. Definitely something to look into. Brian says, still great if you can code. Yeah, I've been coding since, really since HTML first came out in '96. And then after that, I needed some stuff for myself as a trader, and I still didn't have a lot of resources back then, and I got sick and tired of Excel spreadsheets, which were the bane of my existence. So then I taught myself Python. And then later on, I was able to commission an actual software architect. And then later on, we ended up partnering up, and that's how Blahtech came to be. But yeah. And look, I'm not the best coder. I really am not. I've never held a job as a coder. Like, I was always like in leadership positions. I can code enough to know what I need, and I've coded my own algorithms for trading, but every time we need to lease something to an institution, I don't touch that, because I can't be tidy enough to make that production ready to that level, right? But for me, anything that I want, I can bodge up if I need it. So yeah. So this options chain, dragging out levels, it's not that complex. If you're a software developer, you should be able to do it very, very easily. But it's just, 4 different parts of calculations that's then being dragged into the same app and then plonking it onto the screen. And that's it. Alright, so crude oil finally making a move. Again, I can't practice my adding in on crude oil when it's a million ticks wide, but hey, whatever. As long as we grab a little bit of cash here. Now that we're able to trade up to 7 micro coppers on Top Step, I can go back to practicing the scaling in. That was always my pain point. I've been talking about that forever. The way I used to scale in would be like so let's say that you have a core position of 3 minis, and remember that I come from old school prop, right? So back in the day, you didn't have micros. It was 1 mini or bust if you're on a small-ish account. And the kind of prop firms that I went to, you were given 20 grand to do whatever you want with them. Daily loss limits were up to you, not up to the prop firm. And you could kind of decide what you're going to do. But obviously, if you blow up the entire 20 grand, you couldn't try again. They would just basically say, pack your things and see you later. Goodbye. So you have to be careful, obviously. But once the second prop firm I worked for, Push Size, they had a model where they were paying you out 20%, none of this like 80-90% that we see now. But the scaling up was insane. Like, they would start you with 20 grand. If you were profitable on that first month, they would immediately take 70% of that capital and then put that towards your next month's risk allowance, and you were expected to trade with crazy size. So it was very stressful, but I was young then, I was like, 33, 34, and I was okay with it for a while, until I started getting execution problems, and until my life became about executing 120 lot position on crude oil, which would take up probably about like 30 minutes, and any sort of scalping on those kind of positions, like, you can forget about it. First of all, if you plunk in 120 lot, you have a big effect on thin markets like crude oil. So you couldn't do that. So you have to iceberg in. So that was fun. And I hated it. I really hated it. And instead of like focusing on the setup, it was like, no, let's do 5, and let's do 10. Oh God, we won't execute 10. Let's try 8. And it just became so laborious. COVID was great because COVID was like a lot of things flying around, but a lot of people were also trading, so no problem with executions whatsoever. And then things died down again, so that was crazy. And then I got sick, so then my risk tolerance went to shit completely, and I found that even trading 3 minis was too much. So I sized way down. Switched on the algorithms that I could, but even then, you're looking at the amounts that the algorithm is doing, and you're like, oh my God, it's so much risk. But what if? And then you're thinking, well, what if I get worse? And then I can't trade at all. So yeah, that was all kind of playing on my mind. And then as I started going back to prop firms, online props started like getting really popular in and around COVID, like sort of 2-3 years after. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I can start doing this. But of course, I didn't twig that you can utilize micros to minimize downside in light of smaller accounts and to maximize upside. So I've been live twice with Topstep, and both times I didn't like the variance that I was seeing, and I stuck to bloody minis. And I only went to micros if I was like in a drawdown, and never looked at it as a tool that I can actually do something with. It was always like, nah, you trade micros, we're doing like typical sort of old school. So I'm definitely set in my ways, right? And what I'm trying to do now is to retrain myself, to start on a smaller core position, and then to go into adding only when the position starts doing what it's supposed to be doing. So therefore, if it never actually starts going into profit, the only loss that you take is the core position or maybe one add-on, maybe. And the way I'm doing my add-ons, I've shown it on these streams before, so you can kind of go back to see how that works. And you could also, maybe join the metal markets on Topstep TV, which I run from Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays over there. But it's pretty early. It starts if you're over in Europe, it's not early. It's right now it's starting at 10:30 a.m., but it's supposed to start at 11:30 a.m. once we go into the clock change. And I've been kind of trying to train myself, and I'm still uncomfortable at the 3rd and 4th add-on. So until that goes away, I have no business trading anything live. So I'm just trying to train myself in an environment where I can kind of limit, the amount of cash if things do go wrong. And I'm looking for proof of concept. And I'm not looking for proof of concept over 2 days. I'm looking for at least 2-3 months. And then once I have proof of concept, we can then say that that's my way of execution, and you just keep going. But it takes time, any old habit that you're trying to change. Like it's easier to put new habits into people than to change the old ones. I've been trading one way for 20 years, and now suddenly I'm supposed to be trading in another way. So I'm, still not comfortable. And until I am, you just kind of drill. Just like as if you're an athlete, right? You kind of, or a musician as well. You keep repeating the same thing day after day, day after day. King of YOLO, what would you say is the max amount of years one must give themselves to be consistently profitable? That varies. It really depends on whether you already have transferable skills. In my experience, people who already have professions that are heavily tied to, for example, doctors, lawyers, like anything that's like high under pressure and you need to stay calm, but you also have to have a lot of memory and practice. That tends to lend itself really well to trading. Now, there is a thing called error-related negativity that completely messes with people's brains. So it's called ERN for short. And ERN is one of those things where if you are in any other situation in life, it's meant to serve as a behavior modification device in your brain. But in trading, unfortunately, the higher your ERN response, which is good everywhere else, in trading, your brain sees that as a mistake. So let's say you enter a position and it goes against you. Immediately, your brain starts thinking, I made a mistake, oh no! And frankly, it's not a mistake, it's just a probabilities game. And until you solve that, you're gonna keep being stuck, right? If you don't have transferable skills already, unfortunately, the problem is developing them, and that takes a long time. So it takes as long for the people who don't have things already set in stone, and the methodical approach, staying calm under pressure, being okay with your self-limiting beliefs kicking up all over the place. That takes time, and it takes 5 years, 7 years, 10 years for some people. Because I've met a few people who have been trading for 20 years, they're still not profitable. And it's because they've never actually sat down to methodically deal with each problem one at a time for extended period of time. If you are trying to change the oversizing tendencies, that's not going to go away overnight. So you have to set yourself a task and say, okay, today I'm only going to trade 3 micros. And for the foreseeable future, until my brain gets that is your maximum default size, I am not doing anything else. So you turn up every day, execute a 3 lot position on the micro, and that is it. Same thing with overtrading. If overtrading is your problem, you have to set, let's say you do, today I will only do 2 trades a day. The only task, never mind profits, never mind performance, no. The only thing you're doing is not trying to make money, you're trying to not overtrade. And you're trying to drill it into your brain that 2 trades a day is all of the attempts you have. That's it. The end. So until you get to a point, which typically takes like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 3 months, sometimes 6, 7 months, until you're comfortable with turning up, your brain stops fighting it, and it becomes the new norm. Until that arrives, you have no business trying to pass accounts, trying to do stuff. Hey, Rod! Oh my God! Rod has joined us. Yes, D over to the micros. I'm finally here. I know you will approve for sure. Guys, Futures Fanatic. This is Rod Casilli. So we used to do like Q&As together, and he's an awesome guy. Check his channel out. Everything that I'm trying to change in my own trading, he's already doing, right? And I didn't do that because Rod told me to. It's because I realized that the variance is just too much for the sizes of the accounts that we have. And I think you should definitely check out his channel. He's an awesome guy. He's had all the licenses you can imagine. So great to see you, Rod. Awesome to see you here. And yeah, so when you're working on changing your skills, you really need to set one task and then practice it to death until it's like second nature to you. And don't think about passing combines, passing evaluations, getting multiple accounts, copy trading. Forget all of that, right? Just focus on one thing at a time. Your trading will thank you at some point, but it will take time. It's not going to happen overnight, unfortunately. Is trading live different than trading sim accounts? I mean, in terms of executing and filling positions. I would say probably not on tiny positions. Like if you're trading like 2-3 micros, yeah, you're probably not going to notice any difference. As soon as you start getting bigger positions, especially in thinner markets. Like for example, I like to trade RBOB when it's not moving a million ticks per day. So when RBOB is like normal, it is very gappy. So let me show you the dome of RBOB. And if you think that, okay, it's a little bit, wow, it's a little bit too thin. It's a little bit too thin. Okay, this is bad. Normally you will see, you know, one contract there, then nothing, then two here. But if you are looking at it now, this is just insane. And it's after settlement as well, so that makes it worse. But it's not unusual for the DOM to look like this. If you're trying to execute a position in a live market, and let's say you want to do 3 micros on RBOB, do you see 3 lots anywhere on the DOM on one price? No. So what's going to happen? You're going to execute 3 lots, and since we don't have preferential fills because they cost an arm and a leg, we're just retail, you will see the price either jumping to the next available position, which would be, like, let's say you want to go long, so you would need to go all the way down, and then they will put you at the back of the queue. Why? Because you're bigger than all the other guys trying to trade. So you would execute a position, and then you're like, the platform is lagging. It ain't the platform, mate. It's the market. So if you're trading a really, really thin market and you're trading live, yes, in super thin markets, you will start to notice things very quickly. And this is where people get a live account from TopStep and they go, your fills are laggy. Hey, it's the exchange. Talk to the CME, not to us. We have nothing to do with it. It's not to say that they didn't have problems. They did. But since the debacle in December, they really made a huge effort to stabilize everything. And look, it's electronic platforms. I've seen issues with TraderMate as well. Like, they had some troubles, so... But yeah, so if you have a super thin market, yes, you will notice it. But if you're trading ES and you're trading MES and you're trading 3 micros, there shouldn't be much difference, right? Is there a benefit to trading thin markets? Well, as a commodities trader, I don't really have a choice. They're just like thin markets. The benefit is that they tend to be more jumpy, so they tend to move more. So RBOB, even when crude oil was super quiet for 2.5 years, it was still moving 300-400 ticks a day. So it was like 4 times more liquid than crude oil. I like them because they tend to be slightly less speculative in my field. Then you have NQ, that's a thin market. Do you like how NQ moves? I bloody hate the thing. But to me, NQ is a combination of a thin market that is also very speculative. So you have a lot of speculators and it's kind of push-pull, tug-of-war everywhere, tug-of-war. I absolutely think that NQ is totally psychotic for my old brain. I know Rod would probably disagree, he trades everything. But I can't do it, man. I just can't do it. All right, we have 112 lots on crude oil DOM. Sitting up at 96.50, roughly. So that would be a decent target. But I'm using a super wide stop, so I don't know whether we've got some risk kicking up. But yeah, so just to show you what's possible with micros. Today, all micros. I did 1 micro copper short, then another micro copper short. Then I did this crude oil long. That is all the trades that I've done. The largest position that I've been in was 7 micro coppers. I'm sitting at over $1,000. So those of you who say, oh, you can't make money with micros, absolutely not true. If they definitely, you know, if you approach it the right way and you do the way I do things, which is looking for bigger chunks of the move, which granted takes patience, and I wouldn't even say it's patience. I think it's like more kind of confidence in the levels that you're getting involved in. It's absolutely possible to make, you know, $1,000 with 3 trades per day, because that's what I did. I only traded 3 trades. It's not like I did like 1,000,000 trades today, but you know. The righteous one micros are good. I only used to trade minis. Same here, mate. Same here. Yeah. Recovering minis trader. And look, if I trade my larger accounts, of course I'm still going to go to minis. But we're talking online prop. You don't have enough capital. And if you're trading minis, I'm sorry, but everybody's, including my risk of ruin, goes sky high. Do you even know what risk of ruin is? I'm sure there's some of you who've been with me for a while. Arnie is here. Hey, Bertie Trades, how are you doing? Your risk of ruin is basically you walking a thin ice line of blowing up the account in a single trade. Is that the kind of stress you want? Or do you want something that's a bit more stable so you can actually build a future and not have to keep buying accounts every three seconds? No, I'm not against buying new combines, that's fine. But, you know, there comes a point where you have to wonder, seeing some of the sim farmers that have like pulled crazy amounts by effectively playing the game of, well, my risk is just the amount that I paid for the account, so I don't care. I'm going to spend whatever it was, like, was it like 300k that some people have spent? It's like, oh, but I got 3 million out of it. Great, so try doing that in the live markets now. So Verti Trade says I'm in Bulgaria snowboarding for the week, so no trading for me. Yeah, Bulgaria, neighboring country to Serbia, where I grew up. It's a beautiful country. They have both like the sea, so they have like beautiful beaches and stuff, but they also have the mountains. It's lovely, lovely. All right, so we're gonna hang here for another few minutes, and then that will be it. Nice long live stream, a lot of chats, and let's see if this crude oil can at least get to 96.50. I'm not gonna keep it past that. Don't care about positive risk reward at this time of day. It's just me catching a little bit more after the main trade was done earlier today. Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, DigiCap. Those who pulled 1 million plus average about 300k in combine fees. Like, do we really want that? And is that actually realistic? Let's talk about it. Is it realistic to run? And somebody asked me whether I have a Discord community. No, not in that sense. I have Discord utility server that prints our average range and profile levels, because we have a way of calculating them in a particular way. And everybody wants to know the statistical averages, so this is something that we came up with. And I mean, they've been there for years. It's just that I spun that to be my concept of average session range. So we use, particular times of day for Tokyo or for London or for COMEX or NYMEX or whatever else you're trading. And then we print them in Discord. But it's not, I have no desire to go building Discord communities in the Furu way. That's like so disgusting to me. I've dealt enough with Discord because of the Top Step VIP coaching, because I'm one of their coaches there as well. Oh my god, Discord is so cancerous. I don't know how people do anything. So I do have my own mentoring community, but we do that through a very small sort of forum-based style, and everybody has their own threads. We have a couple of market stalkers in here, and basically you talk to me in a single thread. Everybody can see it, but most of the time people are just concerned with their own journey. So, you post your trades, you post, your plan, you discuss it with me, and then every so often somebody will be like, hey, that was a great trade. So there's no cancerous million people arguing and, blind leading the blind as well, which is what happens a lot in Discord communities. So personally, I have a dislike for like messy, big communities. I would rather jump on, on a live stream and just chat with people, and that's our community, right? But if you want Discord levels, Blahtech levels, you have the Discord for that. And that's done through YouTube memberships. So my memberships obviously come with that. It's as close as I'm gonna get to a Discord community. Alright. Let's have a look at what Crude is doing. Ooh, we've got a little bit of a little bit of delta falling off here. Alright, so since we're still in risk off, and I have no idea what's going on because I haven't been following it. Let's have a look. But I'm thinking of taking this off now. We're coming to the end of the stream anyway. All right. Okay, let's book that. Let's book that and call it a day. You know, if I didn't trade earlier today, maybe I would have left this, but let's just close this out and call it a day. So 989, close to $1,000. Don't chase the last $10. That's just not a good look. I've known people who were like, yeah, just take just one more trade. Famous last words. Don't do that. So yeah. Verti says, I'm in Borovets. It's super beautiful. Yeah. The whole country is amazing. I mean, can we call this a scalp? Because it's negative risk was scalp D style. Yeah. We managed to get 100 points? 100 point scalp. Yeah. There you go. Man, I can't believe how crazy crude oil is now. And this is coming from somebody who's been trading crude oil since 2013. Alright, so we've got a couple of minutes until the top of the hour. Thank you all for being here with me. Great to see everybody and great to see Rod popping in. It's been a while, mate. So yeah, let's do this all over again next Thursday. I'm gonna try and keep this up on Thursdays if my health serves me. And in the meantime, if you miss me, hop over to Topstep TV Monday through Thursday when I run my Metal Markets show. Now I don't always trade much there because it's kind of the weird time of like pre-market and the overlap. Sometimes I do. Like today I already had a trade going into it, but it's not the norm. However, the overview of the levels and my big anchor points, that's basically the function of that show. And we can talk about hypos, we can talk about expectations, and whether we're a negative gamma, positive gamma, and how all of that can be smooshed into something usable for the rest of the day. And that's all from me. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will be on group coaching tomorrow on Topstep as well. So there's another thing. And in the meantime, if I don't see you again, have a beautiful weekend. And I will see you again very soon. Enjoy. And that was it. Goodbye.